I was sexually abused as a child between the ages of 11 and 16. At its peak, it was happening upwards of 10, 11, 12 times a week. At its lowest, sort of happening maybe 2 or 3 times a week. That wasn't just sexual, there was grooming involved in that. I was very young, was bought in essence, taken advantage of by a family friend, and I've had to live with that for quite a while, and decided to report it to the police in 2017. Went through the court process. He was sentenced to 15 years in prison, but still now kind of left living with it, I suppose. In all honesty, if I didn't report the abuse, I probably wouldn't be here today. I was at that point in my life where it was eating away at me and I couldn't think of anything else apart from either tell somebody or die. What held me back from reporting to the police was a fear of not being believed, a fear of being told that a man can't possibly abuse a male, whether that's a young boy or an adult. It's not something that I've ever come across, and I just thought that nothing would happen and I'd just have to live with it anyway, so what was the point? I was pointed towards victim support from Samaritans, and decided to go speak with them about what had happened. That was the first time I'd sort of spoken out loud about what happened to me, and they told me that I could report it to the police if I wanted to. They didn't in any way say that I wouldn't be believed. I decided to report it to the police at that point and was very shocked and humbled by the support that I was offered by the police when I was giving my interview. It was a very long day. I was there for a very long time, and they were aware of how vulnerable I was, and they made my experience there feel so much better, just by acknowledging that they were both men and I was reporting a crime that had been perpetrated by a man, which instantly made me feel better. I think at that point, after speaking to the police, going into such detail about what had happened was quite overwhelming. I can't say it was easy because it wasn't, and it's still not easy now. I think what that did for me was give me an outlet. Something or nothing might have come from that interview, but at least I'd got out what I needed to say and somebody believed me. I look back now and I think if I hadn't have reported it to the police and if I hadn't have spent that amount of time talking to them, I would have been in a very different position. And now I can look back and say I did the right thing and they were a focal part in that. Victim support played a massive role throughout the process, from reporting right through to sentencing. I had a worker that was allocated to me that worked with me on a weekly basis, sometimes daily basis, right in the beginning, to explain the court process, to explain why things were taking so long or what the police were doing. If I didn't have that, I wouldn't have known what was going on. I think for me, the support from the police was great. The police officers were fantastic. The level of communication from the police, however, wasn't that great. But again, victim support were there to say, well, you know, this doesn't just happen overnight. You have to be rest assured that the police are doing what they need to do to get this resolved as quickly as is feasible, really. My life has changed massively. There was a point when I reported the abuse to the police that it became quite overwhelming, and I didn't know what to do with all these feelings that I had. I felt guilt, I felt anger, I felt betrayal, I felt grief, and all those feelings I still feel today. But 3 years down the line, I've learnt now to manage those feelings, and I've managed to be able to start to rebuild my life, which is no easy task, especially after quite a long period of being abused by a person. It can be quite easy to revert into yourself, and I've had to work very, very, very hard to get to where I am now. It's difficult to know what to say to somebody else who's been in my situation or a similar situation and been harmed by sexual violence or sexual abuse. My message to them is, don't be scared. It's a very, very big step to make, to acknowledge or to access some support, but it is out there. You will be believed. You won't get turned away. They will listen to you, and regardless of what the outcome is, you will have the support that you need to start rebuilding your life.